What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another podcast with me, Tyson the Trainer. Now, I've covered a little bit on this on a shorter podcast. I'm not sure whether it's out yet, I can't remember. But today is going to be a more in-depth, longer podcast on this topic, which is cardiovascular exercise. Because I was one of those dickheads that used to always be like, oh, you don't need cardio as long as you do weights. You know, I used to think like I knew everything. Mate, if you don't do weight training and you're doing like cardio, you're a runner, you're a triathlete, whatever, you're nothing compared to someone who trains with weights. And that was just dumb bro mentality, right? And so over the years, my wisdom has grown, my education has grown. And one of the biggest, I personally think, one of the most important things in our health and fitness regime is cardiovascular exercise. Like, I'm quite strong. I feel quite strongly on this, which is why I want to talk about it in depth, because I think a lot of people, they get a bit confused about cardio, or they may be misinformed about cardio. So I really want to just hone in and try and cover as much as I can to help explain to you guys the things you need to know about cardio. Why it's important, what should you do, how to do it, all that type of stuff, all right? So we're going to dive into that. Now, the first thing I want to cover here is the context of, applying cardiovascular exercise to people, because context is going to be key here. So I'm going to be talking about three main kind of context areas, contextualized areas, I guess you would say. Health and fitness, first and foremost. So just for overall health and fitness, cardio, which is what primarily I want to be talking about, because the people who I'm talking to is just to have a overall healthier and fitter lifestyle, and what that looks like from a cardiovascular perspective. Then we have the athlete perspective, and with the athlete context or perspective is someone who is a sport or endurance athlete, okay? I'm not talking about a bodybuilder. I'm not talking about a CrossFitter. I'm not talking about someone who does fucking F45, okay? I'm talking about someone who is a runner, a triathlete, a swimmer, a distance athlete, a sporting athlete, so playing sports and stuff like that, but not if you're bodybuilding or doing CrossFit and shit like that. And then finally, the context for aesthetics, if your goal is pure aesthetics, okay? Aesthetics and powerlifting, I guess you would say, is kind of their own like little niche side of things. So that way guys can understand how it's going to be applied to you based on what your goals are, all right? So that's kind of the preempt there, okay? So the first thing regarding cardio I want to cover is the health and fitness side of things, right? Because a lot of people think about using cardio in the weight loss setting as using cardio to lose weight by burning calories. This is the wrong mentality to have, because cardiovascular exercise is not just good for burning calories. Burning calories is a byproduct, okay? It's not the first and foremost thing. What we benefit from when it comes to doing cardiovascular exercise itself, there are so many more benefits from cardiovascular exercise as opposed to just, I'm gonna burn some calories to lose weight, all right? It lowers your blood pressure, it lowers your blood glucose, it will lower your cholesterol, it will lower your resting heart rate, it will improve your nutrient partitioning, it will increase your aerobic and anaerobic capacity, it will increase your VO2 max, it will help with your lung capacity. Basically, what cardiovascular exercise is going to do is reduce your chances of all-cause mortality, which basically means it's going to give you a longer chance of living. Who doesn't want that, When I say like reduce your chance of all-cause mortality and stuff like that, what that kind of means is like, if I'm standing next to a smoker, okay, at any time in life, that smoker has I think it's 40 or 50% chance of dying, higher chance of dying than I would. Like, if we're both just standing there, just for any reason, if one of us, was somehow to die, they have a higher chance of just dying because they have a higher chance of mortality, a higher percentage because of things they've done that's reduced their overall health, all right? So for you, if you can take care of your health and improve health markers, you will have a lower percentage chance of dying in a group of people, which is fucking good, all right? So we want to think of this from the health and fitness perspective as to why it's important, because it will reduce all the bad things basically that your body can happen to your body and improve the good things for your body. Again, who doesn't want lower blood pressure? Who doesn't want lower cholesterol? Who doesn't want lower blood sugar? You know, who wants to prevent diabetes? Who wants to prevent hypertension? Who wants to prevent high cholesterol? All of us do. Cardiovascular health will help this, okay? Taking care of your cardiovascular health from a health and fitness or from a health side of things will also benefit the other things, as in it will benefit you as an athlete, even if you should cardio for your overall health, you know? It will benefit you for your aesthetics, even if your goal, like if your goal is to get as jacked as possible, being cardiovascular fit will help that. And so if we take it from the perspective of a health point of view, it benefits everything, okay? So it's important. Cool? Yeah. So basically, there's heaps of things I'm obviously going to cover through, but the first thing we want to kind of understand with our cardio, you've probably heard of heart rate zones before. Well, understanding what that means. So firstly, to find out what our max heart rate is, MHR, we want to get 220, take away our age, which is for me 27, and that will tell us what our heart rate max is. So for me, it's 193 beats per minute, basically, right? Now, we know this as our calculations, our max heart rate, but it's not, that's what our actual max heart rate is. People, especially when you get fitter, you can push beyond your max heart rate. What happens if you push beyond your max heart rate? Nothing. You just have a higher capacity to push your intensity higher, all right? If you're going above max heart rate and you're not exercising, then like you possibly could be having a fucking heart attack. But apart from that, you know, even though we know what our max heart rate is technically, it doesn't mean like that's your heart rate, and if you go over, you're fucked, all right, in an exercise setting. Something to be aware about, okay? So max heart rate, 220 minus our age. Why is this important? I'll tell you in a second. But you need to know that number. So just do some quick math. Again, for me, it's 193 for whatever it is for you, all right? So now that we know this, we have our 5 zones. We have zone 1 to 5. That's basically what it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Zone 1 is 50 to 60%. We don't really need to worry of your max heart rate, sorry, 50 to 60% of your max heart rate. Zone 2 is 60 to 70, zone 3 is 70 to 80, zone 4 is 80 to 90, zone 5 is 90% plus, all right? Zone 5 is like you are pushing those limits basically, all right? Now, zone 1, 50 to 60% of our maximum heart rate. Zone 1 is basically going for a walk, okay? So if you do a quick math of what 50% of your heart rate is, for me it's like 92 beats per minute. I'm sitting here right now at 93 beats per minute because I just came back from a walk, right? So 50 to 60% of your maximum heart rate, zone 1 is kind of nothing. You don't really need to consider it. It is what happens when you go for a walk, basically. That's what your zone 1's gonna be. But what we're trying to focus on for you, for overall health, is zone 2 to zone 5, all right? When it comes to zones, for your overall health and fitness, don't stress so much about what zone you're in. All you need to know is the higher the zone you are in, the harder you're pushing, okay? So zone 2 is 60 to 70% of your heart rate max. For me, I think it's 120 or 125 to 135 beats per minute. This is like where we can get a lot of our cardiovascular health benefits, and it doesn't have to be that hard. Like when it says 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate, that's basically a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Like my zone 2 work, I do like 45 minutes on the assault bike, quite cruisy. I can maintain that number very easily, and it's not a huge effort. For me, it's probably like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. And to know if you're in technically zone 2, you can have a conversation with someone while you're doing it. And like, you know, you might have to catch your breath after you've had said a sentence or two. Like, yeah, you know, I'm talking like this, and then I'm like, yep. And then I keep talking, and then I'm like take a breath in. That's kind of zone 2, all right? If you're having a pause between your sets, or you're talking like this, then obviously you're pushing harder than zone 2, okay? Do you need to know what zone you're in? Not really. But again, the higher the heart rate zone, the harder you're pushing, the higher your heart rate zone is going to be, and the more it's going to take you to recover from that exercise, all right? Like if you're always slamming yourself, going 10 out of 10 on cardio, 1, you're not going to be able to sustain it for a long period of time. 2, it's going to take more recovery, okay? So like zone 5 work, I'll give you guys an example. When I get to zone 5, it's going balls to the wall so hard on the assault bike. And I can't maintain zone 5 for more than half an hour. Like, it's a fucking killer, okay? Usually when my heart rate finally gets up into zone 5, it's about 5 minutes of warming up, 20 minutes of zone 5, and then dropping back down because I can't sustain that intensity. Zone 5 is hard. Zone 5 is the hardest you can do, all right? So if you know you're in zone 5, you're absolutely thrashing yourself, basically. But again, you don't really need to know what zone you're in. As long as you're getting up a bit of a sweat and you're exercising for health and fitness, that's a good thing, okay? So for those of you looking to get healthy and fit, doing any type of cardio on any piece of equipment for any period of time is gonna be beneficial. The recommended amount of time to be doing cardio is, they say, about 180 to 200 minutes a week, which roughly winds up being 30 minutes a day. Okay, so if you can benefit an extra 30 minutes, if you can make time for 30 minutes a day to do cardiovascular exercise, fucking sweet. But here's the thing, obviously we don't all have time to do it, and that's okay. If you can only do 1 day of cardio a week, it's better than 0. If you can do 2 days of cardio a week, it's better than 0, okay? It doesn't fucking matter, it just means do it. What type of cardio should you do? Any cardio you can. If you play a sport and you're not a competitive athlete, you're getting cardio benefits, all right? If you are going up and doing hikes on the weekends and the high declines and stuff like that, you're doing cardio. If you are doing F45 and CrossFit and shit, you're getting cardiovascular training in from that type of thing. So you're getting that stuff, you're doing a combination of like circuit work and stuff. But if you're someone who's just lifting weights and then you go and do your steps, you're not quite getting the benefits of cardio that you could be. So if you can add in some type of cardio to your exercise regime, that would be beneficial. Now, coming back to the health and fitness side of things, especially for health, you know, you've probably heard, oh, you shouldn't do cardio near your weight training. You know, you should do it away from your weight training. If your goal is just overall health and fitness, it doesn't fucking matter when you do it, all right? The important thing is getting it done. Like for me, I separate my cardio and my weight training, 1, because I have the time for it, and 2, because I like the intricacy of being able to split it up, because I'm more body focused, right? If I didn't have enough time, if I had a normal job, I would do cardio after my workout. That's the only time I can get it in, I'd get it in straight after my workout. Because will it negate some gains? Yes. Is it gonna stop all of your progress? No. Is it gonna ruin your whole workout? No. Is it gonna stop all the progress you've made? No. It's just not gonna give you 100% of the benefits you could have got from that weight training session, okay? I don't know what percentage it might have been. Might be like 75, 80% of your gains versus 100%. For me, if fucking overall health and fitness is the goal, I'm happy to get 80% of my gains versus 100% because I'm improving my overall health, you know? Like for me, the sacrifice of gains is okay for my overall health if I didn't have the time, okay? So if you have the time, split them up. It doesn't matter whether you do cardio in the morning, weights in the morning, or vice versa, who cares? If you don't have the time, do cardio after your workout. I wouldn't recommend beforehand, just because you don't want to tire yourself out for the workout. If you're gonna do cardio after the workout, do not make it hard cardio. Make it low intensity cardio, okay? That's gonna be the least impactful and the easiest to recover from. This isn't walking on the treadmill again, you know? If you do a harder incline on the treadmill, you can't hold onto the handles, you know, do more of an incline walk, that would be counted as cardio, or again, any piece of cardio equipment, and anywhere, like again, 15 to 30 minutes, whatever you can do, something's gonna be better than nothing, okay? That's the most important thing here. Doesn't mean like, oh, Tyson said, you know, they said the benefits are 200 minutes a day. It's not like if you don't do fucking 2 days a week of half an hour, you don't get any benefits. You still get benefits overall. That's still a good thing, okay? So it's more about thinking about how can I add this in and not being scared of, I'm gonna ruin my gains. What if I can't do this? What if I can't do this? It's just do some cardio, keep it at about a 6 out of 10 after your workouts. If it's further away from your workouts, if you wanna push it a bit harder, you can. Aim for between 15 to 45 minutes of cardio. Do as many times as you can within the week. That should be your basic goal for health and fitness. It's really not much more than that, okay? If you want to know your heart rate zones, if you are someone who's like, you know, you like to be a little bit more dialed in, you can use your watch. If you've got a Garmin or an Apple Watch or a Fitbit to a degree, They're not always accurate though, okay? The issue with watches. Like if I'm on the assault bike, my watch is shit. My Garmin cannot pick it up. If you're in a rower, you will not be able to pick it up. If you're using your legs and not your arms, it'll pick it up more, okay? So if you're doing the cross trainer and you're holding on, it might not be able to pick up your heart rate. If you're doing a run, it'll be able to pick up your heart rate, but it's more about when you're holding on to something with your upper body and you're moving is when it won't have a controlled heart rate. So if you are wanting to know exactly what your, roughly your heart rate is, you can use your fitness watches. They possibly could be incorrect. Or you can do what I do. I get I've got a Polar Verity, I think it's called, or Versity. It's one that goes in your arm. And so that is the heart rate monitors, whether it be around your chest strap or your arm strap, is quite accurate. So if you do want to know your heart rate, I would suggest using that. But that's basically all you really need to think about when it comes to your cardio side of things, okay? So again, anything you can do for your cardiovascular health, any type of cardio throughout the week, whenever you can get it in with whatever piece of exercise, with basically making it a 6 out of 10, you're gonna be sweet. And then we'll cut so that's for your health and fitness. That's all you need to know, all right? I do 35 minutes a day, 7 days a week because I have the time. If I didn't have the time, I would do as much as I can, is what I'm trying to give you guys an idea here. Because it's not about if you can't do as much as recommended, you might as well not do anything. Just fucking try and get some in. Again, walking's not cardio, okay? It'll help with your health, but it's not cardio. Then we'll go to the aesthetics side of things first. If you are someone who's purely aesthetics focused, cardio is still going to benefit you. If you're a powerlifter, cardio is still going to benefit you. It's going to help you recover from your sets faster. It's going to help you gas out less during your sets. If your goal is solely hypertrophy, you want to keep it to zone 2 work, basically only, and you also want to make sure you separate that as far as your workout as possible. That's basically all you need to think about for aesthetics, okay? So keep it as far away from your workout as possible. Make it a zone 2, which is a 6 out of 10. Again, 15 to 45 minutes. Any piece of cardio equipment you can do. The only thing I would recommend is if you do a lower body session, do not do a lower body cardio exercise after, okay? Even if it's later on in the day. So if you do lower body this morning, don't go for a run this afternoon. Go and sit on an assault bike or a cross trainer where you can use your arms to help offset the load that's just on the legs. Because the legs, it's hard to recover from when they're doing cardio and weight training the same day, and it's legs. Or in saying that, don't go for a big run in the morning and then go and get and then go and do cardio in the afternoon. Sorry, don't go for a big run in the morning and then do legs in the afternoon, because that's also going to tax your legs. All right, so it's just something to consider if you guys are going to be focusing on doing cardio and your goal is aesthetically focused. Okay, the further you can separate it, the better. The less you can have interference effect, the better. Now, finally, for those of you who are athletes, sports athletes, endurance athletes, and stuff like that, you're going to want to know your zone work. So I suggest getting a heart rate strap, because training in different zones is going to affect different things. We have we use glycogen as a fuel source, we use fat as a fuel source. We obviously use them mixed as the most part, but then we also have a lactate threshold. We have an anaerobic threshold, we have a VO2 max, and if you're an athlete, your goal should be to obviously improve all areas, including VO2 max, because if you increase your VO2 max, then your performance is going to be better overall. So getting yourself a chest or an arm strap is going to be very crucial. And then learning to train and maintain in certain zones. Because usually what I find with athletes, including myself, is you always want to push a little bit harder. You got to do zone 2 work, you end up doing zone 4 work or zone 5 work. Now here's the thing, always training in zone 5 work, even though it's increasing your anaerobic capacity and threshold, it's not always going to improve your VO2 max, okay? Like, you can't just keep running red zone all the time. It's like your car, you can't just keep redlining your car all the time. It's going to fucking blow up eventually. And so with this, you need to obviously have a program in place that's going to help you manage your cardiovascular fitness and using different areas or different zone work, okay? So a majority of your zone work is probably still going to be zone 2, zone 3, because increasing our overall aerobic system with a lower intensity training is still going to benefit your VO2 max. It's still going to be easy to recover from. It's going to improve your overall endurance for longer periods of time, because we can keep a lower heart rate for a longer period of time, which will build your work capacity too, and also help with I'm just trying to remember if it is mitochondrial density with low intensity training. I might be wrong on that one. I think it's low intensity that increases mitochondrial density, right? If it's off the top of my head. And so for you, doing lower intensity training is going to be important, but also when you do high intensity training, you need to make sure you're pushing those thresholds, which is why having that arm or heart rate strap is important. Like when I do zone 5 work, I need to know I'm in zone 5, okay? I can be like, yeah, I'm fucking going hard, I think I'm doing it. And then if I was put on a heart rate strap or an arm strap and I'm like, fuck, I'm only like, 170 beats per minute, I'm not pushing that threshold, I need to get to that 176 and above for me. So I need that heart rate strap to give me real-time feedback. Same as my watch. Sometimes my watch won't give me that right feedback, which is why I have the strap. And so for you, if you're an athlete, taking your zone work more seriously and understanding why you want to spend each time in each of them is going to be important, okay? So then we've got our context, so you kind of know where you're going to fall on that. If you're an athlete, go get a fucking coach who will help you with heart rate zones. If you're a physique competitor, or just someone who's focused on gains, keep the zone 2 work, like I said. And if you're someone who's based on health and fitness, just do fucking cardio, I hope that makes sense. Now, that we've got that out of the way. You've probably heard about LISS, HIIT. Basically, they're probably the two. These also kind of relate to the heart rate zone. So LISS is low intensity, steady state cardio. One thing people don't talk about is MIT, medium intensity training. There's HIIT, H-I-I-T, high intensity interval training. And then there's HIIT, H-I-T, high intensity training. So there's actually 4 areas that people don't realize. LISS, if you've heard of that, it's basically your zone 2. Okay, so zone 2 work is your low intensity steady state, which means it's low intensity, you can go steadily for a long period of time. MIT is basically your zone 3, maybe climbing up to zone 4-ish, basically. For like, when I think about medium intensity, for me, it's about 165 beats a minute. So it's about zone 3 to zone 4. You can maintain that, it's medium intensity, you could probably do it for about an hour-ish, give or take. It's hard, but you can keep going, all right? You wouldn't be able to keep going forever, but you can keep going. Then you've got your high intensity interval training. High intensity interval training is when you are intense, and then there's an interval of when you are not intense. And then you're intense, and there's an interval, okay? This is different to high intensity training. Because high intensity training is when you get your heart rate up to a high enough intensity where it's in the zone 5 and you can maintain that intensity and keep that there for a longer period of time. Like when you're doing a hill climb, let's say you're doing the Tour de France. When they do hill climbs, the hill climb is not, all right, I sprint for 30 seconds and I have 30 seconds off. The hill climb is just fucking intense. Boom, boom, boom. They're going up for a longer period of time. And that heart rate will be climbing up, and then they're just keeping that consistent heart rate at a high intensity for a certain period of time. Then they'll get a flat and then it'll drop back down. Okay. So it's like coming up for, it's like maybe let's say 3 to 5 minutes, even more possibly, and then dropping back down. High intensity is like, your 30-second sprint, your minute off, your 30-second sprint, your minute off. So you're increasing your intensity, your heart rate's going up, then you're coming back down. Then you're going up, then you're coming back down, okay? Just so you guys understand the difference between HIIT, high intensity interval training. Now you probably heard about high intensity interval training in like, circuit training and stuff like that. I very highly doubt people are getting into the high intensity zone with circuit training, F45 and shit like that. If you're in a heart rate monitor, you might be able to see if you get into that zone, but it's just hard when you are pausing, going to another exercise. The exercise, you're not able to kind of push as much as you can cardiovascular wise because the weight's kind of holding you back in a little bit. And just depending on what the exercises are, So you're going to be getting up a sweat, you'll be increasing your cardio, but just don't think you're probably doing HIIT. Again, track your heart rate and find out and see where your heart rate's going. But I've just found being able to get my heart rate, for me, to get that high requires a cardiovascular focus, as in doing a cardiovascular exercise, not a circuit exercise, and fucking pushing as hard as I can, okay? So hope that helps you guys understand in regards to LISS, MIT, HIIT, and HIIT, okay? Now we're gonna go to some questions that people have asked me stuff during the week, and I guess just to cover some things. So the first thing I talked about, tracking heart rate. I hope you guys understand that. Another question was fat burning zone. If you've heard about the fat burning zone before. So fat burning zone is technically zone 2 work or zone 1 work. Now, what does this mean by fat burning zone? Basically, you are going to be using fat as your fuel source. But that does not mean you will burn more body fat. It just means you're using fat as a fuel source. But guess what? When you're sitting down, if you're sitting down listening to this, or if you're going for a walk, you're using fat as a fuel source anyways. But it doesn't mean you're gonna lose body fat, because what still matters most? Calories, okay? So if I'm doing low intensity exercise and I'm like, yeah, I'm in a fat burning zone, and I do it for 30 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, I was in a fat burning zone. But then I did a high intensity training session that was also 30 minutes, where I'm burning purely carbohydrates, because the more intense you push it, the more you're gonna use carbohydrates. Usually because fat cannot be accessed as a fuel fast enough than carbohydrates can. Carbohydrates can provide fuel faster than fat, all right? So that's why when things are more intense, the body needs fuel quickly, and that's where carbohydrates come in. So as we increase our intensity, our carbohydrate burning goes up, all right? We use that as a fuel source. So if I did 30 minutes of low intensity training, or I did 30 minutes of high intensity training, what do you think? Do you think I burnt more body fat from the low intensity or the high intensity? Well, firstly, it doesn't fucking matter what I did, because if I ate more than I burnt, then it doesn't fucking matter anyways. But let's say, you know, that those two things were there to create my calorie deficit. You would burn more body fat from a higher intensity exercise, because higher intensity burns more calories. And in a half an hour period between a low intensity and a high intensity, you're gonna burn more calories with high intensity, okay? So it's not about fat burning zones or any of those things. Don't get caught up in that. Doesn't matter whether you burn carbs or fat as a fuel source when you're training. What matters most is that you're in a calorie deficit from food, okay? So don't get caught up in this fat burning thing. It's fucking bullshit, all right? You use fat as a fuel source, doesn't mean you burn more fat. Again, 30 minutes of high intensity versus 30 minutes of low intensity, you're gonna burn more calories with high intensity, which means you'll burn body fat. But in saying that, do not think you have to go and do high intensity all the time, because again, we're not here to make cardio a calorie burning exercise. We are here to make it a health focused exercise to help improve our overall blood markers. You know, you can be like, yeah, well, high intensity burns a lot of calories. All right, good luck trying to do high intensity every fucking day and burning yourself out. It's gonna happen. It's gonna ruin your workouts. Whether you're just health and fitness focused at all, redlining all the time is not health focused. All right. So I hope that answers the question about fat burning, and don't get caught up in calorie burning. The EPOC effect is another question. Excess post-oxygen consumption, which you may have heard before. You do a high intensity workout, you're gonna be burning all these calories after. Also bullshit. Also highly overstated. Ridiculously overstated, okay? This is the funny thing. You just did a high intensity session, you killed yourself. You absolutely crushed yourself. You're like, yes, did so good, I'm gonna get the EPOC effect. Guess how many calories extra you'll burn over that day in total? 50 calories extra. What the fuck is 50 calories? Not much, nothing. You know, it's not gonna add to that huge deficit you've already created. So that is a very overplayed thing that we need to not worry about either. You just disregard the EPOC effect altogether. If someone tells you about all the calorie burn after weight training, fucking bullshit. Sorry, the calorie burning after cardio, bullshit. Same thing, calorie burning after weight training, bullshit. The EPOC effect is not a thing, okay? Sorry, it's a thing. It has no significant difference in regards to how much weight you'll lose or any of that shit. So don't get caught up in that. Best cardio for burning calories, again, it doesn't matter. Whatever cardio you can do. Whatever cardio you can do that you enjoy or that you can tolerate, let's say. There's a reason I do the assault bike, not because it burns so many calories, because I can't fucking run, firstly, because of my shins. Secondly, I don't want to do anything else. Cross trainer, yeah, I'll do the cross trainer if I can, if I have access to it, but I'm not going to the gym to do a cross trainer. I've got an assault bike on my balcony. I'm doing the assault bike. For convenience wise, I can watch something on YouTube while I'm training, and I can also just roll out of bed and do it, versus going to the gym, getting on a piece of equipment, warming up, doing all that. I just fucking roll out of bed outside. So that's why, okay? So whatever you can stick to. Do you want to do rowing this week? Do you want to do cycling next week? Do you want to do cross training the week after that? Go for your life, okay? Stairmaster. Is there any benefits to Stairmaster? Jesus Christ, no. No benefit to Stairmaster. I probably would actually say fucking scrap the Stairmaster. People who get on the Stairmaster like, I love the burn, you could also be impeding your leg recovery because it's fucking killer on the legs. Don't forget that. You know, climbing upstairs is a shit fucking feeling. And again, it could impact your recovery. What else is there? How many calories do you burn with cardio? Well, that is very dependent on your body weight and your fitness level. And then also, do you burn less calories? This is a kind of a two-part question. Do you burn fewer calories when you, as you get fitter is one question. And then the second question is, the first question was, how many calories do you burn during cardio? The second question is, do you burn less calories when you get better at cardio? Firstly, in regards to burning less calories when you get better at cardio, no. If that was the case, marathon runners would be getting fat because they wouldn't be burning the same amount of calories. When you start doing cardiovascular exercise, you are inefficient, right? You're shit at the exercise. Your body burns more calories because it's basically figuring out what the fuck to do and how to do it the most efficient way possible. The body's like, what the fuck is going on here? It's all over the place. You know, and you know that when you first run, you're trying to get all the breath in, you're trying to run, you're like, it's so much going on. You're like, Jesus Christ, like this is fucking ruining me. Then you get better, you get fitter, you get more efficient, which means your body can then go longer. So when your fitness improves, you're able to go longer, you're able to go faster, okay? When you can go longer and faster, what do you think that actually allows you to do? Burn more calories, okay? Your efficiency goes up and your calorie burn may slightly go down, but because you are fitter and faster, you're able to cover a larger amount of distance in a shorter amount of time, or a longer distance in, again, like an extra time, but you can go longer, and that's gonna produce roughly or even more calories burned. Like again, for me, assault bike, every fucking day, I'm on the assault bike for about 35 to 40 minutes. I can maintain my heart rate at about 135 to 140 beats per minute. I know after 35 minutes, I burnt 400 calories, all right? I don't start burning less than 400 calories because I'm on the assault bike for 3 weeks in a row. Otherwise, I'd be fucked, you know? No, because I keep my heart rate consistent, which means I slowly increase my watts on my bike, and that will allow me to burn the same amount of calories. If my heart rate is lower, I have to increase the intensity. That's all it is. So we don't burn less calories, we do burn less calories as we get fitter, but that fitness also allows us to compensate with the less calorie burn by doing extra, pushing harder, going longer. So this whole thing about burning less calories when you improve your fitness is fucking stupid. All right. Again, if anything, it allows you to burn more calories because you can push the intensity higher. And secondly, with that calorie burn, so the whole calorie burn thing, heart rate's going to determine that, your body weight's going to determine that, and your fitness level is going to determine that. So again, for me, half an hour, 35 minutes in the assault bike, I burn 400 calories. Anita Baz, you guys know Anita, she is 60 kilos, I think, 62, I can't remember. She's 30 kilos lighter than me. So for her doing the exact same amount of 35 minutes in the assault bike, she's probably only gonna burn like 250 calories. So 150 to 200 calorie difference between us because of the weight factor. So the lighter you are, the fewer calories you'll burn. As a general consensus, probably every 10 minutes of cardio you do, you burn roughly about 100 calories maybe. Obviously the more intense you do. Okay, so I'll give you guys an example. Every 8 minutes at 130 beats per minute, I will burn 100 calories. If I get up to 165, it goes down to 6 minutes. If I get up to 175 plus, it goes down to like 5 minutes 35, okay? So 135 beats compared to 177 beats, which is an extra, basically an extra 45 beats a minute, which is a lot of intensity. I burn, I don't know how many more extra calories, but basically it takes me 5.5 minutes versus 8 minutes, all right? But there's a trade-off there because I'm killing myself. If I'm going to do 165 beats, about 6 minutes, and I'm a 90 kilo person. So for you, again, roughly as a rule, a 10 or 11 minutes would be 100 calories, which is why it's not the best calorie burner either. So I hope this helps you guys understand that. It's not a huge calorie burn thing when you look at it, especially for the lighter people who are like, oh, I want to burn some calories. I'm like, fuck, man, it ain't that good. And again, the trade-off of like, just, do you want to burn 500 calories, which let's say will take you, let's say it takes you 50 minutes to an hour to burn 500 calories. It's going hard, right? You want to do that, or you just want to eat 500 calories less and not do the hour and do a half an hour instead, just for your overall health, okay? This is why we don't come over from a calorie burn. It's really not that fucking good at the end of the day. So that's a question about cardio, calorie burning. Sweating. So, if you are sweating more, is that a good indicator that you're burning more calories? Again, it doesn't fucking come down to calories burned, right? You guys need to get out of that headspace about calorie burning, but also does sweat rate matter? Not really, okay? I could be on a very humid day and sweat 1.5 times the amount versus on a normal day where it's cool in winter versus summer. Does that mean I'm working harder? No, it just means that my body is trying to get rid of sweat more, or cool itself down more, actually, sorry. So unfortunately, a sweat indicator is not the best indicator of pushing yourself hard, all right? So, there's obviously a lot of things that we've kind of gone over today, but I think the main thing here is that you guys need to remember, for overall health, just get cardio done. Doesn't matter how much, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter what, just fucking do it whenever you can. Anything is better than nothing. If your goal is being physique focused, separate the cardio as far as possible from your weight training. Keep it low intensity. Do not do lower body leg cardio if you've done leg workout for the day. All right, and eat carbohydrates between training and training, basically, to refuel muscle glycogen. If you're an athlete and sport athlete, you want to utilize all zones. You want to get yourself a heart rate monitor. You want to make sure you get someone who knows how to, train you in those different zones to build up your overall aerobic and anaerobic capacity, and that'll improve your VO2 max and make you a better performer overall. That's pretty simple, huh? So that's all you guys really need to know. If you guys do have any other questions, you know where to find me, at tysonthetrainerr with 2 R's on Instagram. I hope you guys enjoyed this little educational piece on cardio. And as always, if you guys have any questions, you know where to find me. Did I just say that? I'll say it again. At tysonthetrainerr with 2 R's on Instagram. Until next time, my friends, I'll speak to you then.